Yeah, that's good. I think a lot of people need to be aware of that as well. 'Cause everyone says it a lot as well about being individual, knowing what you want in the industry, but I guess to live that and know that it may alienate you from other things.
You have to remember, yeah, I'm not a rapper, I'm not a producer, so I'm not actually in a position where it's gonna affect me directly. Moving forward, I might want to manage several artists and I might have to move a certain way because I don't want it to affect them, innit? Hopefully, I can build my own brand enough that I can come as I am today, you know what I mean? Or the best version of myself at the time, innit? But, yeah, it's not nice. It really isn't nice.
No, thank you. Moving on as well. Did you ever go to prison or get arrested?
Yeah, been arrested, been to prison.
Okay. What would you say that experience was like?
You see, yeah. So I've been out of prison for about 6 years. And if you ask me year one, I might have been like, yo, yeah, it was nothing, like, yeah, we had fun in there, you know, like. But the longer you're out, the more it's just a fucking time waste. Just an absolute waste of time.
How long did you in? Sorry.
I did about 8 years. Yeah. I got out a couple of times in between, got recalled pretty much straight away. And yeah, literally was in jail for the whole of my 20s. Shit.
I mean, like 8 years on and off. What would you say for you that felt like? What was that experience like? Or was there any situations where you thought they're messing me back right now? They're not treating me fairly as well.
There's loads of times in jail that you're gonna feel like that, but like it's like being kidnapped and complaining about your conditions. You know what I mean? It's just what are you gonna do? You just gotta get on with it. Sometimes I've tried to like. Some jails are blatantly racist, and sometimes I fought back against that when it's just like so blatant, you know what I mean? But half the time, it's just better to just, for me, the situation I was in, because it was an indeterminate sentence, I have to sit a parole to get out of jail, as opposed to the guy that's got his date and he knows like when that date comes, they have to let him out. So I had to be a lot more careful than that average prisoner in jail, you know.
How did you cope with that? Not having like a set release date?
See what I'm saying? When I first went jail, I was just a dummy. Like I was only 21. I had been living a certain life for a certain amount of time and had a. You see, when you're on the road, you're so caught up on the road, real life is passing you by, innit? So by the time I got to jail, it's not even like I was 21, but I was like a young 21. I was just in the hype of jail. When I got my sentence, I didn't even really know what it was. You know what I mean? Like, people didn't really know what the sentence was. In my head, I kind of thought I had a release date, and I was just like, I was doing whatever. I was just involved. It's not until my brethren come jail and see me, and he was really like, bruv, like, you're never gonna get out like this. I swear to God, I can remember it. Like, my brethren just come away, linked him in Camp Hill. The Camp Hill is basically the end of the line. Like, when they're done with you, they'll just send you Camp Hill. It's on the Isle of Wight. That's it for you, yeah? My mate came there. He see me. He was like, bro, you are never going to get out. You get me? And you know when things hit you in jail, they just ring out in the cell when you're on your own. Like, just ringing in the cell. Like, right, the way my friends just looked at me like, am I moving that fast in jail? You know what I mean? I'd never been jail before. Like, it was, I got caught up. I was caught up. You know what I mean? But yeah. When you're in there, it's just like, yeah. You know what I mean? It's jail. Good. Like I said, it's like you got Stockholm. So this is your life now. You know what I mean? So that community is your community. The gym's up there. You do your weekly shop. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you're literally trapped on Albert Square. You know what I mean? It's just, it's mad. It's mad. Yeah. Yeah, but looking back at it, it's just like, like I'm not a dumb guy, you know what I mean? Like I can use my brain and go and make something of myself, innit? So to look back at all that time, like that's a long time to just have wasted, innit?
Could you tell us the most meaningful letter or message you received whilst in prison?
Right, so I never got a lot of mail in jail.
I looked at the camera and he said that's true.
Yeah, you know what I mean? This is the horrible side. No, not the horrible side. You know what I mean? And when I was doing whatever I was doing, I did it on my own. So it's not like there was people that, you know what I mean? So I did my bird, innit? But I think, so at the same time, Camp Hill, where my mate was like, yo, this, I basically got a letter about my children, innit? And that was like, that situation that was going on there was a situation where it was like, okay, like you need to get out and be there for your kids, innit? And yeah, that was probably the most, yeah, that's my toughest letter in jail still.
Oh man. So how would you say once you come out, I was that adapting back into society? How was that for you?
It's a lot, you know, like, I don't know what it's like for other people, but I did a long time in jail, innit? So coming back out, it's like starting from scratch isn't easy, and like with no money, I think they kick you out with like 50 quid or something. I might even be being generous with 50 quid, but literally nothing. You know what I mean? Having to go to the hostel, still kind of feeling like I'm in jail, you know what I mean? I got a curfew. So yeah, that's pretty difficult. You know what I mean? When I first came out of jail, I went through a stage of actually trying to find a job, you know what I mean? Like, still had like my kids on my mind, and you know, you can't go back to jail, you know what I mean? But yeah man, everything's moving fast, new cars are out. It's like everybody's doing so well, you're looking around, you're just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's hard work, innit? Coming out of jail, everything moving so fast, it's hard work. You know what I mean? Especially when you just want, like, you want to try and be legit in that. And people ain't trying to just give you jobs, you know what I mean? They're like, what's happened with this chunk of your life that's missing, you know what I mean? And because it's a violent offense, people, like, you can present yourself in the nicest way, but at the end of the day, you've done that amount of time for a violent offense, so you are a maniac. Like, we can't really have you here. Like, I remember I had an interview once, yeah, and the guy was complimenting. He's like, "Oh, you nice shoes," like, and I thought, yeah, you know what I mean. And then he rang me and said I didn't have the job, and I just thought, raw, like, you know what I mean? Like, fucking hell, it was tough. Yeah.
Would you say there was one thing in particular that helped you with that process of assimilating back into society?
Do you know what? Yeah. I'm gonna big up my probation officer once, yeah, because do you know what? I know I've heard of so many fucked up probation officers, yeah, and my probation officer actually was like, you know, yeah, you get people that do their job, yeah, like probation, for example, yeah, like the probation officer I had before her, yeah. I was coming to her for help, like, yo, I want to do this, I want to do that, yeah? And she's like, can't help you, can't help you, can't help you. So one day I was like, what's your actual job? And she was like, to protect the public. And I was like, oh shit, what about me? You know what I mean? Surely if you help me out, we're going to help them. Like, you know what I mean? And I just thought, right, you know, some people are just on the side of their job, you know what I mean? But my last probation officer, like when I would talk to her seriously, she'll be like, I don't even know why you got this sentence. Like, you should have never got this sentence. You know what I mean? It was a normal person I was dealing with, innit? That's very helpful, you know what I mean? I had a very supportive, like my daughter's mum was very supportive during this time as well. That was another help for me, you know what I mean? I got real friends, you know what I mean, that I can shout and be like, yo, I need this or I need that, and you know what I mean? It's not a thing, you know. Like if my mates was to tally up how much I really owed them in life, you know what I mean? Crazy, but I got real friends that really helped me out and never asked me for nothing back, you know what I mean?
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. Also, congratulations on getting your IPP removed. Major achievement.
Big up, man.
So, one, can you talk us through that process and how it was, and if you've got, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? If you've got advice for anyone else who is on license and anything like that, could you please share that?
Right. So I'm going to give you what I know about the process because I had a lot of help with this process, you know what I mean? But probation don't really know. I found that probation, when I first came with getting my thing taken off, probation didn't know what I was talking about. It was actually my daughter's mum that went and researched it. Like this was her pet project, you know what I mean, for about a year and a half of researching and like coming to me and being like, look, I need you to read this and write something on this and I'm gonna send it off, you know what I mean? So when I went to probation, like, okay, there's this legislation where I can have my IPP taken off. And she was like, oh yeah, we can have the you come into probation part of it taken off. And I was like, yeah, look, I know that that's an option, but there's this option here. Because remember, I said I got recalled a couple of times. But the way they calculate it is from your first release. You know what I mean? The first time you was released. It doesn't matter about recalls and stuff like that. So from my first release, it had been 10 years, you know what I mean? So at this point, I can apply to have it taken off completely. But probation didn't know what I was talking about. So I had to literally email her the legislation. She's gone back to her manager. Then she's come back to me with the paperwork that I need, innit? Even when because I'm putting in to have the whole thing taken off at this point, I'm just like, yeah. I've been out for, like, even though it's 10 years, I've been out like 5 years at this point, yeah? And I'm just like, look, I ain't had no problems. I'm involved in the community at this point. I'm volunteering at the local youth club. I'm doing cooking with the man them. The youth clubs even come to my mate's shop. We've done burgers, you know what I mean? Like, I've got all these things. Like, at this point, I'm known in the community, you know what I mean? Like, I'm part of the community. So, she's saying to me, look, I really think we should just go to have the probation element taken off. Because at this time, I'm already working with RD and I'm saying, look, I need to catch a flight. And you lot are saying, I got to put in all this paperwork. Sometimes a booking comes, the flight is in a couple of days. Like, I need to be able to go. She's like, oh, well, yeah. You'll be able to fly. You won't have to, if we take off the probation bit, you won't have to tell us anything. You could just go. And I'm just like, whatever, man. You know, like they grind you down, innit? Like, I'm just like, whatever. But I'm still like, look, because she's like, look, worst case scenario, if they don't take it all off, they'll take the probation bit off, you know what I mean? So I'm like, cool, yeah, I'd rather still go and apply to have it all taken off rather than just going with what you're saying, you know what I mean? And remember, I've already said my probation officer, she was cool, you know what I mean? Like when she's saying this to me, she's not just trying to shoot me down. She's just like, because I've been honest with her and been like, look, I smoke weed. You know, she has to be honest and be like, look, he smokes weed. You know what I mean? Yeah. So she's like, look, obviously, you telling me you smoke weed, I understand that. You know what I mean? But the old white guy that's going to read your paperwork, and I'm being honest, this is our conversation, you know what I mean? Like, so that's basically her fear, innit? So she's just like, look, I'm just managing expectations, you know what I mean? So I'm like, cool. At the end of the day, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'm already living under it. You're already making my life difficult when I need to fly. You know what I mean? Like, so put in the paperwork, and then they came back and said they'll take everything off.
Nice. How long was the process? That from when you sent it all to.
I don't think it was even like there's prison law in it, and they have to do everything within 28 days, and I don't think they used the whole 28 days basically.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Nah, great man. Thank you.